For most new players out there, Escape from Tarkov can be a pretty daunting and intimidating place, with a lot to learn, a steep learning curve, and a pretty brutal nature. There's a ton of information to get your teeth into, a lot of mechanics to get used to, and dying in a raid can really set you back. For some players, that alone can be too much. Like this player, for example. Pistol runner? Yep. Level 50, by the way. Fortunately, there are things you could definitely pick up nice and early that might help you ease into the Tarkov experience. This is my top 10 tips for Escape from Tarkov. The very first thing I'd advise any new player to utilize is the offline mode. It's a safe mode of sorts that you can use to explore and learn maps, which is crucial in EFT, and also practice against AI if you enable it. If you die in offline mode, you can keep your gear, but you can't take loot out of it. Practicing against waves of AI, or scabs in Tarkov, is a really great way to train your gunplay, reaction, and even the speed of your looting. If you're feeling like challenging yourself, set the amount of scabs to horde. It can get pretty wild. Map knowledge in this game is absolutely crucial. Knowing where your extracts are, where the best loot is, and where the most popular places for PvP are will help you massively as you grind through those first tens of levels. Fortunately, there are maps out there that are just a Google search away, but looking at a map in Tarkov can also be a little overwhelming. Here's one method to help out with that. Let's take a look at customs. Let's enter ourselves and find a landmark to draw directions from, in this case, the dorms area. Now we're here, we know that we're practically in the middle of the map, and we can now navigate to the east or west towards our desired extracts, loot spawns, etc. A really great website for you to utilize maps from is EFTMKG.com. They provide very detailed maps sourced by the EFT community with loot legends, key spawns, key unlocks, and other important locations for you to memorize, so check them out. I'll leave a direct link in the description below. My third tip is training your point fire. It's essentially shooting from the hip, but in EFT there's little to no bullet spread, depending on the type of ammo you're using, of course. But as you can see, point firing is accurate onto the location of my laser sight here, and sometimes the difference between point firing onto an enemy quickly, rather than taking the time to aim down sight, can be the difference between surviving or losing all of your valuable pixels. The sooner you grow comfortable point firing, the better. The fourth tip in this list is minimalizing your noise profile. EFT is a game that relies very heavily on identifying noise, whether it's from a firefight or someone walking or running, all of which you can use to determine the location of an enemy or a method of approach. The noise you make primarily comes from your meter here, which you can adjust by scrolling your mouse wheel up or down, or whatever you desire to bind it to. Listen to the difference of noise level when I reduce it to the minimum, and also when I crouch. As you can hear, the difference in when I scroll up or down is very noticeable, and it will be for your enemies too. Remember also that actions like aiming down sight, checking your mag, and so on also generate some noise, so be careful if you're trying to go for a sneaky approach. Tip number 5 is managing your stamina. Stamina is consumed by all sorts of actions: running, jumping, aiming, holding your breath, and so on. The amount of stamina you have is governed by your soft skills, but since you're a new player, you'll find your stamina depleting very quickly. Keep an eye on your bar, keep it at around half if you're in a PvP hot area, and try to regenerate as much as possible before knowingly engaging into a firefight. If you get caught with zero stamina, you'll find yourself in much more difficult situations. Number 6 is memorizing ammo types. There are an absolute ton of different ammo types in EFT. And for a new player, you're likely just going to be picking them at random at first, with no idea of their stats and damage values. Ammo is arguably one of the key deciders in winning or losing fights. And if you don't believe me, look at these two clips of me shooting a friend first with 545 PRS, a low quality round, and then with BS, a high quality round. He's using the 6B43 Fort armor, which is level 6. Any minute now. Oh, fuck it. See the difference? You can obtain higher quality ammo from traders at higher royalty levels for an increased price, or from the flea market for an even higher price. If you can afford it though, don't be cheap on ammo. Arguably the best source of information on ammo types and values comes from No Food After Midnight's ammo chart. It might look like a lot at first, but once you make sense of the different values from the calibers you use most, it'll all fall into place. Another fantastic source of information is from Veritas' app, Battle Buddy. You can use this app to compare different ammo types and how they fare against different armor levels. I use it often myself, so go and download it for your iPhone or Android. I'll also leave links to both content creators below, so go check them out. Tip 7 is learning your keybinds. Taking one look at the list of controls as a new player might leave you a bit confused, but don't worry. Let's run through some of the more helpful keybinds that you'll be using most in your raids. To check your mag and ammo, press Alt-T. To change your fire mode, press B. To check your fire mode, press Alt-B. To change your laser or flashlight setting, press Ctrl-T. To lean left or right, press Q or E. To sidestep left or right, press Alt-Q or Alt-E. To hold your breath whilst ADSing, press Alt. You can, of course, rebind these functions if the default ones don't work for you, and there are more keybinds to learn, but stick to these basic ones first and memorize them. You'll be learning more in no time. My 8th tip on this list is improve your hideout. Your hideout can provide some extremely helpful bonuses and capabilities, like crafting meds, weapons and ammo, and also extra percentages to things like your rate of healing, rate of stamina regeneration, rate of learning certain skills, and so on. I'd suggest getting the most of your hideouts to level 2 before you hit level 30, and then upgrading the rest at higher levels. You will be spending a lot of money upgrading it after all, so don't break your bank in one go. You can use the map guides I have linked down below to even find some of the items required to upgrade your hideout in your raids. But you should also check out this extremely useful chart, which lists all the items you'll need to upgrade each part of your hideout. I'll provide the link to this down below also. Tip number 9 is watch your hydration and energy. I've seen way too many people either die or come very close to dying because in their raids they didn't keep track of their values. If either reaches 0, you'll start receiving increasing ticking damage, start to tremor, and your vision will become blurry and unfocused. Always bring in at least a spare drink with you to your raids. You can find them fairly commonly throughout most maps, however, or you can buy some supplies from Therapist. My 10th and final tip might be obvious, but it's use those pixels. The point of this game is to lose gear, gain gear, lose it again, gain it back. Do you have an expensive loadout stagnating away in your stash? Use it. All players eventually learn that high quality gear isn't too hard to obtain, whether you get it from successful firefights or by leveling your traders, and you will lose that high quality gear eventually. Gear fear, as we call it, is natural for all new players, but the best way to get rid of that fear is, you guessed it, using that gear. Once you do, you'll find yourself obtaining more great weapons and armor in no time at all. And that's it. Those were my top 10 tips for new players in Escape from Tarkov. This is my first guide video of sorts, so I hope if you're new to the game, that at least a few of these tips helped you out. Did you have any other tips that you think might be important to new players? Feel free to post them in the comments below. I also full-time stream EFT over on Twitch, so if you feel like checking me out live, then check the description below for the link. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Claymore signing off. Peace.